Hello everyone, I'm Karis. Whatever in the cosmos would rock gods like Robert Plant, Mick Jagger, John Lennon, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, what would that have to do with Pluto fully entering the sign of fixed air Aquarius this week? Also, we have the sun's entry into mutable fire Sagittarius and the fourth quarter moon in mutable earth Virgo, ruled by Mercury. Stay tuned because we're definitely going to be talking about this major shift in the cosmos. Starcasting to you from the City of Angels. Hello everyone, I'm Karis. Thank you so much for being here and listening to the Voice of Astrology podcast. This is your astrology cosmic superpower for the week beginning Sunday, November 17th through Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. Let's journey together with astrology and explore how to connect with the stars, the planets, the energies for our new week ahead. The fantastic night sky this week on November 17th and 18th shows us the Leonid meteor showers overnight. Now, with the bright waning gibbous moon that might wash out some of the meteors. On the 17th and 18th, look for the Leonids late at night until dawn, and under ideal conditions, you might get to see 10 to 15 meteors per hour. On the mornings of November 18th and 19th, the waning gibbous moon will move next to Mars, the red planet that is growing brighter all month. This is Mars, and the twin stars of the constellation Gemini, Castor and Pollux. They'll rise several hours after sunset the night before and be visible through dawn. Late in the evening on November 20th, we have the moon buzzing by the Beehive cluster. Now, the waning gibbous moon will be close to the faint Beehive star cluster. In a dark sky, the Beehive is easy to target. You do need binoculars for this one. And the Beehive is also near the twin stars in Gemini of Castor and Pollux. They'll rise before midnight and be visible through dawn. The 7 original planets used in astrology, or the OGs as I call them, that you can see without aid of binoculars and or telescopes, just like the first original astrologers did, are lined up this week as we start off the week as such. We start off the week with the sun in fixed water Scorpio. The moon is in mutable air Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in its detriment in the sign of Sagittarius. Venus is now in cardinal earth Capricorn. Mars is strong in fixed fire Leo. Jupiter is still retrograde in the sign of Gemini, its detriment, and Saturn is now direct in the sign of Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. Sunday, November 17th, we are starting off the week on the sun's day with the waning gibbous moon. We're coming down now from that very powerful full moon we had in the sign of Taurus, ruled by Venus. The moon in Gemini wants to sort things out. The moon is emotional. It's instinctual. It's all about the feelings. But Gemini wants to sort through and get the information. The moon in Gemini is you wanting clarity. With the moon in Gemini making an opposition to the ruler of Gemini, Mercury in its detriment of Sagittarius, the moon making a conjunction to Jupiter in its detriment of Gemini, the moon making an inconjunct aspect of adjustments to the sun in fixed water Scorpio, and the moon making a square aspect to Neptune in Pisces. What all of these conflicting energies and elements mean is that the moon wants, or what you need and feel and want information. Gemini is the student. It's about give me the facts, give me the science. So even though your moon, in starting off the week with the moon, which is all about the feels, the moon can be so confused, all over the place, overwhelmed, what to think, what not to think, what to believe, what not to believe. The moon in Gemini, as we come down from this very powerful full moon in Taurus, is I just want the clear, cold, hard facts, the information, Gemini, to help you sort through the conflicting feelings, confusing emotions. Gemini also rules over the news, newspapers, information. Before we jump to conclusions, always, but as we are starting off the week, this week, get more information. Now, Gemini is the eternal student, no matter what the chronological age. So with the moon in Gemini, ask questions, do the research. Don't just believe, of course, what you're reading and hearing and assuming. Getting a second and third opinion, information, doing the research before a final decision is made is how we are starting off the week. The moon wants clarity, in other words. The moon in astrology rules over the population, the populace. And so as a collective and also in your own individual life, get the information. Think Gemini. Gemini is that sign of the zodiac that corresponds to when we're first starting to go to school. The mind is open with Gemini, always loves to learn. So get all the information that you possibly can. The moon needs this as we are starting off the week. On Monday, November 18th, the moon in Gemini then makes what's called an inconjunct aspect to Pluto in Capricorn. And all of the planetary family, all of the planets have been saying their goodbyes to Pluto in Capricorn, which is changing signs, moving into Aquarius this week. And with the moon in Gemini, which is forever youthful and open-minded, this is the sign of Gemini, making that inconjunct to Pluto in Capricorn, which is the structure, the limitations. The inconjunct to the planet Pluto in Capricorn is the opportunity to think differently, see things in a fresh, new way, and to make the changes which Gemini happens to love, by the way, because Gemini is a sign of the zodiac that can get bored very easily. So Gemini saying this final goodbye, moon in Gemini, in conjunct to Pluto, is Pluto, thank you very much. Perhaps we needed certain boundaries and limitations in certain areas of life at one time, but now it certainly is a time for a change. Later on Monday the 18th, the moon goes home to her domicile. She enters the sign of Cancer. The moon in Cancer, at its best, is when you know how you feel, you're connected to your emotions, you know you feel what you like, what you don't like. The moon in Cancer is instinctual in the best part of the way, which is knowing and feeling not only what makes you happy, but it's just an instinct of feeling with the moon at home in Cancer that of course you do what makes you happy. The moon in Cancer also is the feeling of safety, the reassurance that all will be well, and of course it will be. When the moon is in her castle, her home domicile, sign of Cancer, all of the familiar things, the happy memories, the people and places around you that you know and have the feeling that you can trust. This is also the moon at home in Cancer. What is it that you feel and know that you can trust because you're safe? And what are the things that you don't feel so sure about? They haven't earned your trust yet. The moon in Cancer is that connection to not only your emotional body, which means you're home, you're safe wherever you go, but the moon in Cancer is also that feeling of that you're safe, you can trust with the familiar and things that are comfortable and family to you. The moon are the memories, the happy memories, the joyful memories that give you energy, that are good for your health. We can't talk about the moon without talking about food, because that's one of the things that the sign of Cancer rules over. Nourishing and replenishing the body with foods that are healthy for you, that give you energy, that stabilize the mood swings. Cancer is moody. The moon fluctuates every 2.5 days. And so the nutrition, if you've put off, let's say, starting the kind of dietary health habits that stabilize the moods, that give you energy, that make you feel comfortable and safe within your own body, then this moon in Cancer is a wonderful time to do that for yourself, as it is always. But this is the first moon in Cancer, the moon at home in its domicile, as we welcome in the planet Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. You could think of the moon in Cancer as welcoming, saying hello to Pluto in Aquarius. The moon in Cancer is saying welcome home. The moon in Cancer on Monday makes an opposition aspect to Venus in Capricorn. The moon opposition Venus and those two signs of the zodiac is the working out the balance between private home and family, moon in Cancer, Venus in Capricorn, which is the world, status, career ambitions. Moon opposition Venus in Capricorn is where are we going to bring into this life? The moon in Cancer opposition Venus is the bringing into balance. How do we work with and how do we balance a private life versus a public life? How much time privately at home with family and children, as opposed to how much time out in public, in the career, in the world? Because it's the moon in Venus, which is love and relationship, this type of discussion and negotiation will be taking place in your love, your relationship, your marriage. Also on Monday the 18th, we have the sun in fixed water Scorpio making a water trine flow to Neptune in Pisces, and then the moon in Cancer will make a water trine flow to Saturn in Pisces. We now have the three water signs, sun in Scorpio, moon in Cancer, and Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. So this trine flow between the three water signs is the flow in being connected to your feelings in your home, in your outward expression, in what you're building in your life, what your dream is for the future, your imagination. Now this trine involving the water signs takes place before Pluto enters Aquarius. In other words, what all of these water trines and that is about is being in harmony, setting the stage, we could say, for the flow of your emotions and how you feel. And what that means in astrology is water is caring, what you truly care about, what you are truly invested in emotionally, meaning where the emotions are. This is what has meaning and purpose for you. The emotions are backing it up. It's not the mind air. It's not taking action, fire. It's not getting the work done, earth. It's what you truly care about, what has meaning and purpose for you. Before we say hello to Pluto in Aquarius on Tuesday, the 19th. To keep it more simple, it's getting your emotional life straightened out and flowing before the 19th. Tuesday, November 19th, drum roll please, because this is it. This is the biggie, of course, which is Pluto fully enters fixed air Aquarius, where it will be for the next 20 years. This happens about once every 248 years-ish. So what does Pluto in Aquarius bring to us, mean for us, and what would rock gods? What does that have to do with Pluto in Aquarius? The opposite sign of Aquarius is Leo, which is ruled by the sun. When we had the Pluto in Leo generation, this was the time, this was the generation where rock gods like Robert Plant, Mick Jagger, Jim Morrison, they were expressive of the Pluto and Leo generation that stood out in a larger-than-life, expressive, sun, creative, originality way. We even started using the phrase, the term, rock god during that era of that rock and roll, larger-than-life, godlike characters that expressed in a larger-than-life, bold way. Pluto is the planet that, yes, is life, death, transformation, but Pluto is also the shadow. Now, iconic legends like the rock stars that changed the world literally. There is also and was also a shadow side Pluto to the era of the Pluto and Leo generation. The Pluto and Leo generation that gave us unbelievable, unforgettable, amazing creativity and expression also had the shadow side of the Plutonian power, which is what happens when someone is perceived as a god, as larger than life. We know that the Pluto and Leo generation, the drugs, the alcohol, the god-like status that brought in groupies willing to do and be anything. This is the shadow side of the Pluto and Leo generation. Not that the people caused that, of course not. But what Pluto and Leo ushered in was an era, a time of you didn't toe the line. You didn't just go along. The rebel. You didn't just keep your head down and go about your business and do what you were told. And this was highlighted, showcased for us on the world's stage in a larger-than-life, godlike way. Yet it had its shadow side as well. This is the planet Pluto. Now, Leo being the opposite sign to Aquarius, which is where Pluto is entering today, November 19th. It's now fully going into Aquarius. So what we will see, what will be brought to us as we've gotten a little bit of an inclination when Pluto made that little introduction into Aquarius, but now is fully there, is that at its best, the transformation of Pluto in Aquarius is freedom, independence, brotherhood, sisterhood, friendship, all of the beautiful things that we love about the sign of Aquarius, that everybody should have equal rights, equal opportunity, that we're all connected, that we're holding hands in friendship around the world. All of this transformation is and will take place with the Pluto in Aquarius. But what is the potential shadow side to Pluto in Aquarius? This is the other side of the coin, or planet, if you want to say it that way, to Pluto in Aquarius, which is this. Aquarius is the sign that corresponds to winter, the coldest time of the year. Ice, no feeling, no emotion, no warmth, like Pluto and Leo, the sun. You can say what you want about Leo and the sun, but cold is not one of them. It's larger than life, it's dramatic, it's expressive, it's hot, but it's not cold. Cold is Aquarius. So when we have this Pluto's entry into Aquarius over the next 20 years, and one of the main things on the table today as discussion is what's going to happen with the AI, the robots. The robots are not human. They're not warm in expression and alive like the sun, like Leo. I would have to say that Leo is probably the most, or one of the most generous-hearted, giving signs, people on the planet. They're happy to give. They want to shine their light. Very generous, very warm. The challenge of Pluto in Aquarius is to be too cold, too thinking, too robotic, whether we had the robots or not. This is the shadow side of Pluto in Aquarius. Also, Equality is one thing, and equal rights and tolerance and brotherhood and sisterhood for everybody is wonderful. Be your own self. But when everybody is equal, in the sense of there's a competition and everybody gets a trophy because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So here's your 12th place trophy. You've heard of this, I'm sure. Or the potential shadow side is when you don't get to stand out as the Pluto in Leo star. When you don't get to become larger than life, so to speak. That life, in a certain sense, is a game. It is a competition. And people tend to not like the word game, the game of life, because there's a perception that playing the game of life or playing games has a shady, wrongdoing side to it. But when you compete with yourself to better your best, to keep on trying, to keep on improving, then the game does not have a shadow, shady side to it. The game is fun. You want to see how far you can go, how creative you can just get. And we know with not only astrology, any creativity, it's never ending. You can learn more, do more eternally. No one can rightfully say, I know everything about astrology. That's ridiculous. Or any other craft or art form that it gives you life force. You love it. You do it because you have to do it. It's your passion. Leo. Then the potential shadow side of the Pluto in Aquarius is to give up and say, what's the use? Why should I compete with myself and try harder and try to win the game of life? Whatever that means for you. One of the beautiful things that I eternally love about astrology is that no matter what birth chart you've been born with, no matter what hand of cards you've been dealt in this game of life, if you know how to play the game, meaning if you know the potential in your astrology chart, you will not only play the game, you will win. Again, I'm obviously not saying to win in the sense of harming another person or trying to take something away from another person. I'm using winning in the game of life connected to your astrology chart, because your astrology chart is going to show you where you are strong, where you need improvement, where you have talents and abilities, everything, the timing, the seasons. I mean, it goes on and on and on forever. So this Pluto's entry in Aquarius is the potential shadow side of to not be passive and robotic like, where what's the use? The machines will do all the work anyway. I'm sure you know that when you work hard at something and you fall down and fail, and then you pick yourself up again, and you really stay the course to better your best, to win, then when you do win, not only can you really own this in the sense of, I earned this. It didn't come for free. There were many trials and failures. How many times have I said you don't learn to ride a bicycle by never falling off the bicycle? You pick yourself up with your scraped knee and you keep on going until you master the skill of riding a bicycle. And it really is true. Once you know how to ride a bicycle, you never forget. So the Pluto's entry into Aquarius is, let's not forget about the individual and their unique, original, one-of-a-kind, never to be repeated, can't be copied self. That's the Pluto and Leo generation. So many times people have said to me, when the topic of Judy Garland and Liza Minnelli, whenever that topic comes up, and I've seen Liza Minnelli in her prime, unbelievable is all I can say, dynamite on stage. Anyway, every once in a while, when the topic of Judy Garland and Liza Minnelli comes up, someone will always have to chime in, Liza Minnelli is more talented than Judy Garland. And my response to that is, there's only one Judy Garland. So whether someone is more talented, less talented, doing that kind of nonsense comparison, it does stand true that whether Liza Minnelli is more talented than Judy Garland, there was only one Judy Garland. And this again is the connection to the Pluto in Leo, but also its opposite, the Pluto in Aquarius, which is the one and only unique self that you are. We don't want to lose that with the shadow side of Pluto in Aquarius, where we're all looking the same, dressing the same, being the same. Nobody stands out. Nobody expresses their own unique creative expression. So for the Pluto in Aquarius, wonderful for the equality and tolerance, and we all have the right for freedom and independence and equal rights. But the shadow side of Pluto in Aquarius is we don't want to become, obviously, cold, robotic-like people where we don't challenge ourselves because the AI is going to do it for us. The robots will do it, so why bother? That is just one example that I'm using for Pluto's entry into Aquarius. The nature of a human being is that people are unpredictable, irrational, they make no sense, they're a headache, they're a pain in the neck, you never know what you're going to get. Clients will call me up all the time, furious and incensed that they were in a relationship or a friendship, and the other person, the human, with their human heart, Leo, says, I've had a change of mind and heart. I'm just not feeling it anymore. I want to end the friendship or end the relationship. And my clients that hear this, they waste so much time and energy on how could this happen? How could they have a change of heart and mind? How could they not feel the same way? Because that is a part of human nature. It's never changed. It never will change. Would you rather have a human being, a true heart, when the hearts are in alignment? Or would you rather be, and I'm sure this is going to happen, and I'm sure you know this as well, I can't control a human being, nor should I want to ever control a human being. That is heinous. It's an abomination. Buddha once said, you must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. Be free. Be you. I accept you and love you the way you are. If you want to be there, be there. If you don't, if you do have a change of mind and heart, that's a part of life as well. So what certainly potentially can happen is that if we go into this robotic control-like mindset, Aquarius, fixed air Aquarius, where I would rather go get a robot that will do what I say and I can control it. And there are even now questions and legitimate questions on if we will be able to control the robots. But the point I'm trying to make is, would you rather have a robot, an AI, as opposed to a human being with an irrational, makes no sense heart? And the heart rules supreme, by the way. That's why the sign of Leo is called the sign of royalty. You can't force yourself to love someone you don't. You can't force yourself to not love someone you do. The heart is sovereign. It is dictated to and controlled by no one or no thing. Do we really want to give that up with Pluto in Aquarius? Seriously, if you want to be there, be there. If you don't, don't. Now, when I say this to my female clients, they hear that through fear. They say, are you trying to say that I should give the guy permission to go cheat? No, I'm not saying that. It's saying that you have enough self-esteem and self-love, hello, Leo, to not try to control another person. Your heart's in it, or that's okay. This is also the Pluto in Leo generation. Because for people like Robert Plant, whose father rejected him because he wanted him to be an accountant, hello, rock god, Robert Plant. And I'm the first one to say he is a rock god. I've seen him in concert. Can you imagine what we would have lost out on if that control, in other words, what it took for these icons to say, no, I'm not going to be controlled. I have to become the full Pluto and Leo expression of who and what I am and originality. Would you rather have a Pluto in Aquarius generation that says, okay, we're all just controlled robots and no one will go against the mindset, Pluto in Aquarius, fixed air Aquarius mindset. Of course not. Think about what we would be losing out on for yourself individually and for the planet. So there are always two sides, the transformational side of Pluto, but also the shadow side of Pluto in Aquarius. And to turn into mind-controlled robots, I will never go along and agree with that. How about you? Let me know what you think. Because if nothing else, the air sign Aquarius does think. Aquarius is extremely intelligent, like geniuses, and stupid just doesn't fly with the air signs and with Aquarius, of course. Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. Wednesday, November 20th, we now have Pluto fully in fixed air Aquarius, and then the moon enters Leo. Fixed fire Leo, which rules the heart, and the moon in Leo makes an opposition aspect to Pluto in Aquarius. And then the moon in Leo makes a very dramatic conjunction to Mars in Leo. So this first opposition of the moon in Leo to Pluto in Aquarius, and then that conjunction to Mars in Leo is very dramatic. It's very expressive. It's very creative and wants to take action. It's larger than life in Leo, moon in Leo conjunct Mars in Leo. It can also be a lot of fun. Let's celebrate. Let's have a party. We've made it to this point, and we're just going to keep going and doing better and better. Thursday, Jupiter's Day, November 21st, we have the solar ingress into the sign of Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter. Now, the sun's entry, the sun's ingress into the sign of Sagittarius is all about the gratitude. Mutable fire, Sagittarius with the sun there, and the sun loves to be in fellow fire signs because it's exciting, it's action, it's exhilaration, it is a celebration energy. And so with the solar ingress into the sign of Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, we want to elevate and celebrate the ruler of Sagittarius, which is Jupiter, which is gratitude. Every sign of the zodiac, every planet in astrology has a function, a job to do at its best. Jupiter, which is very often referred to as gifts and blessings, Santa Claus, Christmas, the holidays, the job of Jupiter is to say thankful and be grateful. Because the more we say thankful, the more abundance and increase, and most importantly with Jupiter, laughter and joy is what we receive with Jupiter at its best. As we look over the past Scorpio season that has wrapped up now, one of the lessons is to look back and make an assessment of how all of that intensity, that emotional intensity and fear and suspicions and accusations, what kind of a toll did that take on you health-wise? Don't you feel relieved that the sun is now in Sagittarius and that the Scorpio season is finally over? And the toll it took on you in relationships, friendships, not being able to have a discussion without it turning into a slugfest. Sun in Scorpio. Now we have the sun in Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter, which says celebrate, be happy. There are so many blessings, so many things to be grateful for. And try this little exercise. If you've never done this, try this little exercise with the solar ingress into Sagittarius. It will change your life. You start off the day from the moment you wake up and you say thank you for every little itsy bitsy thing. You take a second or two. Oh, I woke up. Thank you. Oh, I'm in my nice warm bed. Thank you. Because there are a lot of people that don't have a nice warm bed. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for the running water. Thank you for the indoor plumbing in your bathroom. A lot of people don't have that. Thank you for the soap. Thank you for the cup of coffee. The point I'm trying to make here is if you spend a day just taking a second to say thank you for every little itsy bitsy thing that you have that perhaps you take for granted, because there are many that don't have that. Thank you for your health, whatever it is. Just take all of a second to say thank you for this cup of coffee. Thank you for my shoes. There are people that don't have shoes. If you do that all day long for one day or even for a few hours, then no one will ever be able to convince you or try to tell you that you are poor, that you are lacking. Because what happens when we stop and take note of every little thing we have, like right now I'm looking at my bookshelf with astrological treasures in that bookshelf that you can't find anymore. Thank you for the books. When we stop and take note of every little thing we have in gratitude and say thank you, which is Jupiter, the solar ingress into Sagittarius, then not only will you know that you're rich, there is so much abundance around you everywhere, all the time, then the more you hold gratitude in your heart, then the more the job of Jupiter, which is to increase, that's its job, then the more the blessings and increase. And I'm not talking material, just material things. I'm using this as an example, that the more happiness, joy, the more we look through things through the lens of humor. This is also Jupiter in Sagittarius. Jupiter is very often referred to in Sagittarius as the clown, the comedian of the zodiac. You look at it all and you think, gee, why am I taking all of this so seriously? When you look at the divine comedy that we're all living, you see a lot of humor in the nonsense that people do. And so the abundance and blessings in the increase of Jupiter and the solar ingress into Sagittarius is to just say thank you. If you do this for just one day of your life, it takes all of a second to say thank you for everything. Watch the way your life changes and transforms on the most base foundational level, which is the joy and happiness, the blessing it is just to be alive. Friday, Venus's date, November 22nd, we have the fourth quarter moon at 1 degree Virgo. Now, 1 degree Virgo, the first duodecimate in degree, which is Virgo, ruled by Mercury in its purest form, is that health component of taking away what Virgo does, separating what is fake and false in your life. And what you keep, I say this all the time, what to keep, because it's healthy for you. And also because Virgo rules over the intestines, the gut, and there's so much talk these days about having a healthy gut, which is where you have that intuitive knowing, that feeling of when something feels right and when something doesn't feel right. So the more you take away what is false and fake, what is a lie, then that 1 degree, fourth quarter to new moon cycle, the moon is now decreasing in light, the more you will have that sense of you trust what your feelings, you trust what your gut is telling you. Also from fourth quarter to new moon, it is the time when we are loosening and releasing things up in preparation for the new moon action that will be coming up. We also have Mercury on this day entering its storm shadow period, where Mercury, from our perspective, slows down to less than 40 minutes of arc. So Mercury is in its detriment in Sagittarius. Mercury is entering its storm shadow period. So this is the slowing down of the mind, the calming of the mind. That's a better way to say it. The peaceful mind, the centered mind, the peace of mind, as you give yourself the luxury and time to relax the mind and not feel like you have to rush into something, jump to conclusions, especially with Mercury in its detriment in Sagittarius, and slowing down as we prepare for the new moon coming up, which is when we're off and running again with that new lunation and taking action. As we close out the week on Saturday, the 23rd, we still have the moon in Virgo making an opposition to Saturn in Pisces, now direct, And the moon in Virgo makes a beautiful Earth trine flow to Venus now in Capricorn. So the moon in Virgo making that opposition to Saturn is calling Saturn in Pisces to the carpet and saying, come on, let's get to work now with making our dreams a reality. Then the moon making that Earth trine flow to Venus in Capricorn. That's a supportive, common sense, down to earth trine flow that's saying, what do we need to do to make this relationship work? What are the habits, the lifestyle, Virgo, that will make this relationship a success? And when there is love, we can always make the relationship a success. And this is what the moon, the last aspect of the week, the moon trine Venus, is showing us in the cosmos as far as let's make this love work. Let's make it a success. Moon in Virgo, trine Venus in Capricorn, which is always moving towards success, wanting the relationship to work. As we close out the week, everyone, we are living history for so many different reasons. And nothing in the cosmos, up in the sky, is forcing us to do anything like a robot. Always remember, the heart rules supreme. Thank you so much for being here and listening to the Voice of Astrology podcast. I will see you all in the stars. Thank you, everyone.